What is up, guys? Dad Dash here, and I'm coming to you today with a video, and I wanted to, talk to you about what we take from this whole glitch, whatever you want to call it, how to process it, and where this takes us. Because although I believe we can formally say Glitchgate is over. The glitch is over. As far as we know it exists, we know how it came about, we know how it was discovered, we know enough about this thing that we can put it to rest as far as making accusations against anybody or who used it or what it was used for. And at this point, we kill that. But there is also much work still to do in relationship to this and to what this tells us. And if you don't, again, information, knowledge, if you don't do something with that, if you don't put it to work, if you don't build off of it, you miss an opportunity. And that's exactly what we want to talk about. And I'm not talking about the opportunity to use the glitch, because that is an opportunity we don't know how long it will exist, or if it'll be around for a week, a month, a year, permanently. We don't know what the consequences of using it all are. So if that's all you take out of it is, oh, I found this out and I'm going to use it and I'm going to move forward, then you're missing a bigger thing with this. So we're going to talk all about that. But first off, let's get a couple things out of the way. First of all, I want to thank Pedro for using his platform to host what I think was two of the most consequential lives I've seen since I've been a part of this community. And listen, it had to get dirty, in order to work through it. But you know what I always say? It's never bad to get dirty, because you can always clean yourself off, right? So that's an easy thing. And he got dirty. He had to get in the mud, and it looks like he's still got some things going on with some people out there, that he's got to deal with. But as far as the glitch, he did what was necessary to create the platform and the environment and put the pressure on the right people, and all while being, obviously under suspicion himself from other parties. Although I think we can, and I hope everyone can collectively see that no, this was never a Pedro issue, and that Pedro did not use the glitch. I don't believe he did. And I think it's definitive evidence now that you can see that he was aware of it. He said when he was aware of it, not only did he become aware of it, but he set in motion these events. Now, I don't know what his intentions was. I don't think he saw the playing field, but I think it shows a consciousness, that he had a conscience, that he was aware, that he felt like this was something that needed to get out. But of course, weighing all of the variables, weighing all of the responsibility that it comes with putting this out in the wrong way, he put that community post out, got this thing started, and he knows his circle. He knows who's around him, and that's put this in motion. So hats off to Pedro for not only providing the platform, but also setting in motion the events that led to this very important thing. And I'm going to tie in why this is so important. Bear with me. Don't leave the video and say, okay, that's it. Secondly, I want to say, I have suspected that there was something funny with Richard and the things he was sharing and the things he was doing. It just never smelled right. It never felt right. It never felt like it didn't match up with the numbers. It didn't match up with what I was seeing out there. And as somebody who's tracking data, who's trying things, who's always looking to try to figure it out, I believe I have a pretty good idea of what you got to do to go out and make money in a fair environment. especially if we could get the apps to act like they're telling us they are. But, of course, I don't think that's going to happen. That's just not something that we can count on to happen, because DoorDash is a game, and we're going to get into that. DoorDash is not designed to operate like a traditional business, and you're not going to be able to count on using it like that, I don't think. I think you're going to always have to anticipate that there's going to be back doors, there's going to be bullshit, and there's just going to be that's just going to be the experience when it comes to these apps. And you got to decide, is that for you, or do you want to find other things to do with your time, other apps that are more professional? And that's what we're going to get into, because that's the real thing here. Those are the real things we should be talking about. And if I was an individual that only had a relationship with DoorDash for delivery, and I enjoyed doing delivery, and I wanted that to be a part of the way I earn money on a monthly basis, I would absolutely say it's time to get on a wait list. It's time to build out additional relationships and understand that you cannot put all your eggs in DoorDash's basket, because DoorDash is not out for you. So, with those out of the way, let's lay down the need to discuss and talk about the glitch from that perspective of pointing fingers. And let's as a community right now at this moment take the fingers and point them right at DoorDash. And let's look at what the glitch gives us, because it gives us some very, very, very important information. And we can call it whatever you want to call it. The glitch, the backdoor, the cheat code, whatever it is you want to call it or are comfortable calling it. But it tells us some information. And it is not what Richard told us in the live yesterday, because Richard said that the very fact that it exists, the backdoor, the glitch, the cheat code, or that it exists, tells us that acceptance rate is important. And I would take a 100% opposite thought process on that, and that is because I've also been tracking and involved in working this, or trying to work this app along with other apps in the way that I thought it needed to be worked. And I couldn't understand how people were having the success they were having, and I knew something artificial had to be there that was helping to prop things up artificially, especially when people that were participating in Hell Week, and the numbers don't lie. It is Top Dasher, I have said from day one, is and always will be an unsolvable math equation if you're doing it the way DoorDash tells you to do it, or you try to maintain your acceptance rate. At least from the experience I've had in my area, and I really doubt that the experience in my area is that much of a departure from another area, besides maybe a few dollars, maybe there's a few more tip orders. But the reality is, the base pay, the way DoorDash operates, unless it's a Prop 22 state, I understand, or maybe New York, where they have a little bit of a different setup, or the state of Washington, I think, that's got more base pay. But if you're not in a state that is having any type of base pay stimulus, then your experience is not going to be that far from what I've seen out here for the last 2.5 years. But what Top Dasher tells us is not that acceptance rate is important, okay? No, it doesn't actually. What it tells us is that cherry picking is important. Because if you listen to anybody sell you the glitch, the backdoor, they say it's the ultimate cherry picking. What it is it's literally allowing you to operate the way you did a few years ago, when we were all cherry picking at the bottom fairly, and we were sorting through the crappy orders. You are not taking, if you are using the back door, and you're using the full back door, not a partial version, not the iPhone version, but the Android version, the granddaddy of it, the one that's going to make you a lot of money. Essentially, it's going to allow you to ignore any bad order, which means that will never become part of your reality, and it means that you will only be accepting good orders. It means that the algorithm will learn what your average acceptance is, how much it is, and over time there will be a snowball effect. Over time you will only deal with 5-star customers, big tipping customers, and that will eventually make your account more valuable, and it will do everything I've told you it will do on steroids. It is truly like the equivalent of juicing, like Pedro was saying in his live. You're juicing your AR, you're juicing your account, and you're doing it in a way that the AI algorithm responds to numbers. And that's what you've got to understand. There's nothing special going on here in terms of, it's not some mysterious situation that isn't understandable as far as the core of how it all works. It's simple. It's just the algorithm interacts and it sees what you accept, it sees what you decline, and since you're not declining anything anymore, okay, or at least in its version of events, you're not declining anything. It looks like it thinks you're accepting everything, and then it's got your average accept, and it starts to build towards that. So if you're accepting big orders, all you're getting is large order program, then it's going to start sending you more of those. It's going to start attributing more of these to you, especially as you deliver. If all you're delivering to, again, at first it's going to start out slow, and then you're going to get more and more and more and more, because then all of your customers are going to just simply be large order program, big tipping customers, people that tip really well, people that are okay with tipping well, and it's gonna be slow at first as you're exiting out all the garbage that you've used over the years. And some of those people may still come back. The algorithm may find them, but again, if they come back and you see a low tip order, or you see a no tip order, or you see something that you maybe would have stretched on, thinking, well, I need to do that just to be able to see the bigger order, you no longer need to do that. And the idea that anybody will, without the glitch, maintain the earnings that they have is absolutely not going to happen, because you're not going to have the benefit of being there like you are with the glitch. In other words, while all these other drivers are taking those lower orders and driving around and ending up in a different part of their zone, you're sitting there scooping up the big order, and then you sit on the other end of your zone and you scoop up the big order, and you're able to not have to start your car and move your wheels until the right order is there. Now listen, this is the way it should be, and I think it's interesting that DoorDash has chosen this, but I think we have to acknowledge here what DoorDash is and isn't. And if you're following the information that's out there from people that, hey, I openly admit that some of the people that have come out with trying to put information out in the street, you've got to ignore the antics, the way they're acting, the feuds that they've gotten into, and you've got to go down and look at the base of the information. And that's what I've done. And as you see, I have an open tent, right? Because I'm going to have everyone here. I'm going to take what I want out of it, and then I'm going to say, okay, thank you, and on you go. And it's simply because I am looking at someone's body of work or looking at the work that they've done does not mean that I'm in agreement with what they're doing or anything else that goes beyond the work that I'm looking at. But I'm going to tell you that DoorDash 110% is look at it as a human lab on human behavior. It's the ultimate sociologist's dream. And without getting too personal, I have a degree in sociology. So that was what I studied. So for me, watching this, seeing this, and there's an important thing that you want to understand about what DoorDash lined up here with this backdoor. And it was truly to see what are human beings going to do? Who's going to step up? Who's not? Who's going to be willing to hurt others? Who's going to be willing to do the right thing? And there's a few that did the right thing, and then there's a few that said, no, we're hiding. And it's interesting. And it's interesting to see how other people say, oh yeah, screw others, screw humanity. If we have an advantage, F everybody else. Yet we claim to be a community. But I think it dives into the greater psychology of human beings and how some humans will eat others, destroy others, and yet hold themselves out to be as if they're for others. Then there's some people that will just be outwardly say, screw you, I don't care, I'm for myself. And I think what you have seen here, what DoorDash put on with this glitch, this backdoor, it's a actual real world AI version of the Stanford prison experiment. I don't know if there's a movie on it. Look it up on Google. I think you can even see YouTube videos on it. But the Stanford prison experiment was a situation where they took real people, they put them in a prison environment. It was known that it was fake. I can't remember how long it lasted. But inside of it, a hierarchy developed. People started exploiting each other. People started abusing each other. Remember, and this was just, it was incredible what occurred in that. And that is exactly what happened here with this glitch. People found out about it. People used it to exploit others. People used it and actually came out and started encouraging behaviors that was destructive to others. And there is no one that will ever make a case to me that says that if you're suggesting that someone go through Hell Week and you're not doing it yourself, whether you did it once or twice, but if you're not over an overall longer period of time running your car those miles that you're required to do in order to get Hell Week going, which I did, and I understand it takes like 1, 2, maybe 3 days to do it. It's not like it's forever, but it still wreaks havoc on your earnings, wreaks havoc on your miles to money, and I got the data to prove it the 1 month I did it. And if you don't understand that, and then you look at the fact that maintaining an acceptance rate above 70% is a very hard thing to do on a long, consistent basis. And the math is not with you. You will ultimately you will not be sitting at the top taking only good orders. The only people that did that only got good orders, that are only showing you good orders, are the people that were using the full version of the back door, because they were able to bypass any negative order that was in their market and move right on to only the good ones. All they had to do was have the patience to wait. And if you're multi-apping while you're waiting, then you're really, really using a very powerful version of it, because you're able now to sit there and you can cherry pick the best orders, whether it's through Spark, Instacart, Uber, and you're only dealing with the top orders. You're only dealing with the absolute best. And when you're not getting the best out of DoorDash, you turn around and you just cherry pick the shit out of everything. And since you're inevitably, especially as you move up, I agree, there is a priority basis. I'm not saying there isn't, but the math tells you that eventually, if everyone gets priority, there isn't priority. Now, I think the secret that DoorDash knew is we were never going to have a day where everyone was going to be above 70 because it was too hard. And eventually, when they got enough people up there working at 70, they're just going to lower everything and lower all of the, lower the base pay to absolute lowest possible point. And then eventually you're going to have people that are going to have to, again, if they're fairly trying to do this, they're going to have to eventually take large amounts of crappy orders. The algorithm wanted you to focus on acceptance rate. I cannot tell you that if this is the fact that this backdoor exists is telling you that the worst strategy that you can have, and we have to address this. I understand that you can play the game right now and you can say, all right, there's a purported advantage for a little while, but that advantage is going to go away. And anybody playing by the numbers, and I challenge you to use my sheets, track your orders, get your screenshots, and post them to a channel, create a channel if you don't have one, and prove me wrong. Because I'm telling you, I'm looking at the data, I've tracked out the numbers. I've used Driver Utility Helper to track hundreds of orders and seen a run of hundreds of orders. Doing this legitimately in my market. And I'm telling you, when you look it out, when you get into it, it doesn't matter how you're working. You're going to have a swath of anywhere from, it could be 5 orders, it could be 20 orders, that you're going to have, that the AI algorithm will recognize that you are in a spot in your acceptance rate algorithm to where it knows that every order you're about to get offered, you have to take or your AR goes down. And when it detects that, it's going to come back and it's going to extract more out of you than it gave you at any other point when it knows it can give you something. And this thing is designed to do that. And if you don't understand that, that's why the glitch existed. That's why the backdoor existed, is because the people that the DoorDash's own executives who are required to dash a certain amount got tired of the shit orders and had this thing built in. Now that's the point, is it may never be able to get built out. It would require breaking the system, which is why it may always stay and exist. And if it does, I guess it will always be a backdoor or an exploit that DoorDash now will patch by adding adding extra things that you need, like the rolling 100 and this and that. And of course, there will always be innovative people who will say, I can play the game and figure it out and maybe try to make it be a little bit of an advantage. But now we can have that talk. And yes, is it against terms of service? Yes, it is. But so is the existence of the glitch. It's against DoorDash's terms of service with us. Remember, there's a 2-party contract there. Nowhere in it does it say we're going to allow people that we're working with, we're going to give them away to get priority and advantages. So it's a 2-party issue. And I think that's also another area that DoorDash better tread lightly, because you start deactivating people for it. Well, wait a minute. You better watch out. Your software had this built in. You created this unfair advantage for others, and that's true. DoorDash did, not anybody else. This isn't an issue with content creators that use it. They have no liability in that at all. They simply took advantage of something that was in there. And of course, DoorDash now has a tremendous body of human information to say, look at how they acted. Look at what these people did. Look at what we were able to get them to do. They turned on themselves. They went after each other. They had no regard for human beings. And then certain people started exploiting it. Certain people found out about it and then hid it. Certain people said, no, it's all ours. And some people just said, hey, I don't care. You know what? I don't care that I can sit here and take a bunch of orders and bypass everybody else. And they said, I don't care about my fellow driver. And I guess in the business world, why should you care? You don't know that person. You don't know the next person. But, there's a difference between just say, okay, I'm going to use this and stay silent about it. And I'm going to not only do that, but I'm going to go out and essentially what Richard was doing from Sin Cities, what he's saying but isn't saying, is he knew that, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm going to grow a YouTube channel, and I'm going to get the flock of people that are following my channel to carry the shit water. And while they're carrying the water of all these garbage apps, and while they're out here accepting them during Hell Week, and while they're out here maintaining their acceptance rate so they don't have as bad of a Hell Week. Because see, remember, Hell Week, convincing people that Hell Week is important and calling it Hell Week, and then people say, well, I don't like it, but I like having a 70% acceptance rate because I am seeing a few better orders, makes them say, okay, well, then there's an answer and a solution. Avoid Hell Week. Start maintaining your acceptance rate. And then you're into the real grind. Now you're driving more miles than you ever would if you didn't worry about it. And then the more people that start adopting that, again, they're taking the shit. And what he knew, pretty smart guy, was, hey, while everybody else is trying to maintain their acceptance rate, anybody that has the glitch, anyone that has the secret can sit there and send those orders to everybody else and then just while everybody else is busy, we will see more orders. The more we get people to work under us, the more we get up here, because they won't be available for the good order. If I'm sitting there waiting, I will have, and I get my acceptance rate artificially up, and they're struggling to stay up there, I will always have, I may have less orders. It may not be as busy, which I can fill those gaps with other apps, but I will always have orders. And that's what he understood. And it's an absolutely interesting human look to see what human beings do to each other in this instance. But here's the thing. Here's what we need to do for each other going forward. Number one, I've already talked about whether you should use it or not. I stand by that video. And I'm not telling you whether you should or shouldn't. DoorDash is not going to tell you to use it or not use it. That's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge someone who uses it or doesn't use it. That is a business decision you make for your business. Risk-reward ratio is what you need to look at. Do the rewards outweigh the risks? If you believe they do, then use it. End of story. 2, acknowledge the fact right now that unless you're going to use the glitch, stop worrying about your acceptance rate. Just it's not a long-term strategy that works. Only take orders of value. If you're not getting enough orders on a particular platform, add a platform and continue adding until you have the ability to have enough volume to make money. And 3, we as a community need to acknowledge the fact that I understand if you're not part of sharing information and coming out here, right? Then, and you're not going to be part of the information sharing, then that's fine. Do what you want to do. You find out an advantage, keep it to yourself, take advantage of it. But if you're going to be out here putting yourself out as a creator, trying to get people to rely on you and what you're sharing, then share your authentic experience. It is important. It is important that we have authentic, that you be authentic. And anyone that isn't authentic, admit you're not. Tell us, hey, I'm here for entertainment. What you see may or may not be correct. Put a disclosure on your video. Do that favor for yourself and for the community. Because unfortunately, I think what you can find out from the glitch gate is that, listen, if you don't do that and people believe that you're not authentic, you're going to have a lot of people spending a lot of time and energy to prove what many of us already know, and many of us that are intelligent enough to look at a video or look at something, or we're in tune enough with our business practices and what's going on, we'll have an idea of exactly what it is we're seeing and watching. But there's going to be others that may take you serious. And if you are going to hold yourself out here as someone who's trying to share, my expectation is if you're part of this community that we have here on YouTube, you should come in here and try to share something of value. And I only speak for one person. I'm not telling anyone else what to do, but I will give, I rank the channels I want to watch based on value that they provide, if I'm looking for valuable information. And then I have my channels that I'm just looking to be entertained, that I'm just looking for fun. I'm looking just to hear the rants, hear the feuds, and it's more like, hey, why not? Let's tune in today. Because sometimes you don't always want to just be sitting there listening to business. So, but I'm just saying, be honest with what you are. Don't try to be something you're not. Save yourself the aggravation of problems. And then the final thing I want to say is this. Please, recognize the fact that this is entertainment and this isn't personal. Leave personal shit out of it, man. The stuff I've heard, I had no idea was going on. And again, I haven't been around this community in a while. But listen, there are certain boundaries that we as a community, I don't care who you are, whether I agree with your strategy or not, we don't go to families. We don't go beyond our on-screen characters. And understand this, we are all on-screen characters. Some of us are a little closer to who we are when we're at home. Some of us are a little more authentic to our true selves. And then there's some of us who are playing an entertaining person. And yes, while we're on screen, while we're entertaining you, things are said. But understand, or at least hopefully you do after watching this, please, if you're on a platform such as YouTube, it's entertainment. But going through and breaking that barrier is inappropriate. It shouldn't be tolerated, and shouldn't be tolerated by this community. And anybody that breaks that shouldn't be rewarded with views, shouldn't be rewarded with attention, and should be excommunicated and thrown away to the back of the line. And now, I am not saying someone cannot atone for mistakes. And I'm someone who will give you a million chances if you're willing to acknowledge and say sorry and show me a new path. I'm not saying I'll trust you right away, but I'm saying I'll give you a chance. So I'm just saying, I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, but I'm just saying it is highly disturbing to think that we have people out here that are diving into the personal. And I also want to say this too. If somebody shares something personal, it is not licensed to jump into that. And I know some people will say, well, you put it out there. No. Sometimes you share something real. Sometimes you share something that you want to help others with. But it doesn't mean you jump into that, or you question that, or you go after those things. You know, it's something that was shared with a purpose. And, you know, there's got to be boundaries. And that's my point. We have to have boundaries as fellow YouTubers, as fellow creators. And if we don't do that, then we're misunderstanding what we're here for, because we're here for business. We're here to deal with gig work. And who we are off camera, and who we are when we're not in our cars and we're not working and when we're not on a live. And I understand, you know, we blur the line of personal. Sometimes you see the background of our personal life, and that's not that far away. And sometimes my kids have been, you know, in a ride along in the background or whatever. But the thing is, you know, they're in the background for a reason. And now, if somebody steps on screen, if somebody creates their own channel and they create their own character and they step up, then the character is fair game, in my opinion. But otherwise, let's have perspective. So from all of that, guys, the way forward we have right now is we need to focus our energies on DoorDash. And we need to focus our energies on finally having the discussions I've been trying to have for a year. And that is on helping people to really evaluate where gig work lies in someone's life, what the real money-making strategy can be and is, if there is one in your market or for you, and helping with that. And doing that through tracking, doing that through educating people on the tools they need to be successful, and then sharing authentic experiences of value, while at the same time maintaining some entertainment value. And fifth, building a supportive community in a very, very tough thing. Because I don't care who you are or whether you're out here, unless you're not doing this for real. And there are some people out there that haven't had a depth of gig work to understand what I'm about to say. But I don't care who you are. I don't care how successful you've shown. I don't care whether you're using the glitch or not. The mental toll that this thing will take on you when you're out on the road and you're doing all of this and you're dealing with all the shit we deal with on a daily basis. You know, we need to be building each other up, and that's what we have the opportunity to do. And although we're not on the same team because we're all individuals and individual businesses, it's an environment where we need to be building each other positively and recognizing the fact that, listen, it's great, you know, having a place to come that you can have other people who understand what you're going through and using it appropriately is invaluable. So let's not squander that, guys and ladies. Anyways, I'll leave you with that. This is the last I intend to talk about the glitch itself going forward. I thank everybody that was involved in that I saw over the last few weeks. I think we as a community need to move forward on the glitch itself, and we need to move into the solution. We need to get the word out on DoorDash and the games they're playing. We need to talk in unison, and we need to be pointing this out, and we need to point the back door for what it is. It's the greatest evidence of how DoorDash is acknowledging that it doesn't pay its drivers enough, and that if it did, it wouldn't have needed to add a back door in to help people get better orders, because the orders would stand on themselves. And it's time we start dealing with that issue as a community. Anyways, guys, anybody who made it to the end of this video, thank you very much. Put a star, or let me know, and you're going to get a DoorDash star of approval, because wow, that's 35 minutes, man. I appreciate it, but I had a lot on my mind, and I like to speak, and you know, to me, it's an authentic record. I don't do this, you know, I don't do this to satiate the YouTube algorithm. I do it because I have things on my mind. I want to talk to you. I want to put it out there, and I hope it challenges what you think. And I really hope that everybody understands that, you know, there's not a personal word being said to any individual. I'm speaking to the characters that we play. I'm speaking to the choices in what we do, and there's human beings behind the characters who can think about how you want to portray yourself and what you want to do. And I'm just saying, out of this, there's a lot of room for improvement. A large majority of that goes to DoorDash out there, and our responsibility as the drivers driving for them to push them to not and not allow them to get away with what they've gotten away with, which is splintered the community, has cost a lot of drivers a lot of money, and it's time we change that today. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. As always, stay safe, stay profitable, and DoorDash will talk to you soon.